Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to NASCAR's backyard this evening at the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway tonight on LSRTV. It is the Extreme Motorsports 99.com Sprint Cup Series All-Star Invitational. We're glad to have you with us on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing, tonight for the third swing at an all-star event in these last couple of months. We've seen the trucks, we've seen the Xfinity Series. Now the big boys do battle 150 laps and 225 miles start to end this evening. Do want to welcome you up into the live sim racing TV broadcast booth alongside of myself, Evan Pasoko, is Andy Kessler, and our executive producer, as always, is Laura Lawson. First off, Andy, welcome up to the broadcast tower. A very exciting race we have underway here this evening. Not only is Charlotte one of the fastest 1.5s, but it's the first 1.5 you get with the sim. If there's a track that anybody put a lap down in a Sprint Cup Series car, it's most likely Charlotte. And if you look at a racetrack that you probably put the most laps down at, if it's not Daytona and Talladega, it is this racetrack. Everybody has been out here numerous times. It's a very familiar racetrack to all of these drivers, which means that we expect that, coupled with the fact that all of these are the top of the top from every single league we see here tonight. This should be a very competitive all-star race.
Oh, competitive's just the beginning of it. You're taking the top drivers in 4 different leagues, putting them all together on this very fast track under the lights. It's a fantastic setting. I'm looking forward to tonight.
Take a look right now. These drivers in the minute of a 15-minute topped out but solo car qualifying session. These drivers out on the racetrack for 2 laps of solo car qualifying and get to set the grid for tonight's race. And so far, it is the driver that was fastest in practice. Fastest on the board right now. Looks like it's the Skittles Toyota Camry of Marcus Richardson on top of the board. No surprise in that regard, considering the fact that it's that driver who we saw dominating earlier on here in the summer months, I guess, but as well the first of the All-Star events earlier on with the Extreme Motorsports 99 Capable World Truck Series All-Star. He is definitely going to be one to keep an eye on for sure with the Sim Racing Authority. We take a look at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. How about some track facts about the racetrack located in Concord, North Carolina? This racetrack, as we've said, it's an intermediate oval, so 1.5 miles in distance, 24 degrees of banking, and one thing you touched on, Andy, there is not only is under the lights a whole lot more cool to take a look at, but it gives these drivers a lot more ability to do something in these race cars because they have a lot more grip than if the sun was shining.
Oh, a lot more grip, a lot more passing, able to run too wide. It gets a little treacherous on that front stretch, so we'll have to keep an eye on that, especially off of turn number 4. But I expect to see a lot of guys double wide through these corners. A lot of grip on that outside. That high line might even prevail at times here off of the corners.
At a Charlotte Motor Speedway, very high-speed racetrack, but one of the things that we will have to mention at some point is green flag pit stops. Not only is this racetrack very fast, it's a very aggressive track, but at a point in the race, you're not going to be able to go side by side with somebody 150 laps. You can. It might not be the smartest decision on making those Goodyear Eagles, though, go distance to distance. When it comes to pit lane-wise and pit lane entry for these drivers, Andy, not the most difficult of pit lane entries, but not one of the easiest as well. We have seen time and time again here at this racetrack, communication amongst drivers is key as far as trying to get down onto the pit lane, getting back off of the pit lane, and we did expect that this race might have a couple of yellows early, maybe a couple of yellows late if you're going by the standard way these races tend to go, but that long middle portion of the race when everybody gets spread out, that could be really where this race is won and lost on the track position-wise.
Oh, pit road's key in most every race, especially on the green flag stops. These guys are going to have to mind their business, and getting on pit road, you got to be careful. Make sure you call it out. Make sure the guys behind you know that you're coming to pit road, because you tend to stay on the track a little bit higher than most tracks when you're coming to pit road. So, and a lot of guys like to run that lower line. So we could see things get a little mixed up down there. It also could play a role if, half the field already made their stops and all of a sudden we have a issue getting on the pit road. A caution comes out then. That's really going to jumble up the field too. So it's going to be interesting to see, and hopefully it all shakes out for everybody and we don't have any issues.
And right now, take a look at the times in qualifying. Again, did mention that it is a closed qualifier session, and we would think that at least at this point, all of the drivers have put down their time and they're set to get this one underway. 20 times going to be put down on the qualifying grid, all the way from 27.304 to a 5-minute lap time by Michael Tibbetts. Going to put him about mid-pack. Not quite sure that's the lap that the 23 was looking for. He's not even going to be the slowest. Martin Porter with a 10-minute, 45-second Q lap. maybe not wanting to be all the way at the back, Andy, but not at the front for sure. Definitely a strategy play on those guys that intentionally took a long lap, as well for some of the guys that didn't put a lap down as well. Like a guy like Bobby Zelensky, fourth fastest in practice, may not even want to be up there up front, and he looks like he'll be one of the guys starting from the back.
Well, sometimes that can bite you. I mean, we know that things seem to get jumbled up, especially early in a race. Everyone trying to fight for position. If you're not up front, or you don't think you can be up front, you might want to start in the back. But then again, starting in the could end up being some trouble, especially if there's a wreck in front of you and you're not able to slow up, or of course you get all those guys come piling in too. So you're definitely gonna have to mind your business, those guys in the back. But those are some interesting lap times there at the bottom.
And now we get set to get this one underway. The drivers had an hour and 50-minute open practice session before they hit qualifying, as we mentioned, just about 14 minutes and change ago. And now we get set to get this one underway. Again, the drivers from these leagues are the top drivers in their respective series. You take the best of the best and you put them all together, and it is an extremely stacked field, and things are going to be very close and thrilling if this race is anything like we saw already on in 2015 with not only the Camping World Truck Series All-Star Invitational, but as well just about a month ago with the Xfinity Series All-Star Invitational, and a lot of the big names and top finishers in that race, not to be surprised by, are here tonight as well and are looking hot early. However, it's a big difference between putting down a hot lap and winning a 150-lap race. Let's get down and get this one underway. Take a look at the LSRTV starting grid for tonight's Extreme Motorsports 99.com Sprint Cup Series All-Star Invitational. Pole position does go to the 2 of Marcus Richardson. It's a 27.304 to put him on top of the board. Alongside him in second, going to be the number 19 machine. That's Brent Puncari.
Extreme Motorsports driver in the number 90, Daniel Eberhard, he's going to roll off third, and to his outside will be that 40, David Shutt.
Ken Baum Jr. will roll from the inside of row number 3. That's going to be the number 5 starting position for that Toyota Camry. Alongside him, it's Ariati starting along in 6th position. That's the 5-Hour Energy Toyota.
The 77 of Hugo Lidner is going to start inside of row number 4, while Kyle Putz starting the 33 to his outside.
Bobby Cheney is going to be starting in 9th position, and rounding out your top 10, the number 61 of Jason Stout.
Starting 11th in that 4 car will be Mike Rominger, and to his outside in the 31 is Richard Holland.
Here in Sizemore, going to roll to number 97 off of the unlucky number 13th starting position tonight, alongside in 14th. That's the number 94 of Jordan Malish.
Inside of row number 8, it will be the number 84 of William Hale, and to his outside in the 68 is Phil Gary.
2 teammates going to be back on row number 9, 17th position to the 18th of Jay Anderson. Alongside him, Gary Bauer in the 27.
Rolling off 19th tonight in the 62 car will be Sean Dower, and to his outside in the 23 is Michael Tibbetts.
And a final driver to put down a time in qualifying with a 10-minute, 45-second, .526 circuit around this 1.5-mile speedway is Martin Porter in the number 8 Store Motorsports Chevrolet. Alongside him in 22nd, first driver in on a time provisional is going to be Alex Peck.
Nick Thorpe in the 54 and the 08 of Heller Ducharme will roll out on row number 12.
Big names continuing on back at the back. Chance Crum in 25th, and 26th is Bobby Zelensky.
Rolling off 27th will be the 34 of Ben Smith, and 28th will be Brian Bateman.
And then you have Richard Schwint, who we're going to be starting this race back in 29th position, and 30th to the 5 of Chris Scala.
31st will be Joe Petrit, and Brian Ray will start right next to him in 32nd.
And then shotgun on your 33-car field tonight is going to be the number 22 of Mikael Rasmussen at the very back on this one. So all drivers on the starting grid in this one, looks like they're going to be with the field to take the green flag in this one and get this race underway. Again, this 1.5-mile speedway going to treat us to 225 miles of racing action. The 2 of Marcus Richardson wants to finish up front for the 3rd time in as many races in these All-Star Invitationals in the top spot on the racetrack. He does have a lot of competition, not only just up at the front of the field behind him, but all the way through this field. Big names in the middle, big names at the back. There is a lot of time to get this race sorted out and see in which direction it will go. We're glad to have you with us on LSRTV as the pace car going to take the sharp left-hand turn down to the safety of pit road. And it is going to be the Skittles Toyota in control of the field. Pace car down to Wade Richardson on the accelerator. Green flag flies, and we're underway from the Charlotte Motor Speedway to corner one. No challenge for P1 as a great start by the 2 car. Leads the 19, fighting on for second. Here comes Daniel Eberhardt.
Eberhardt now, he's got the inside line over the 19 of Brett Pucari. That he gets that position as they head down back straightaway. Not too much trouble now as Eberhardt now looks for the lead.
And down into quarter number 3, that 90 gets the preferred lane down on the bottom of the racetrack and does indeed try to close it on Marcus Richardson. They cannot let that 2 machine get too far away. However, the 19 not having any plans of giving it up at all. That's a good battle still on for the number 2 spot. Meanwhile, all the way through the top 15, things single filed out pretty quickly. So you'll get back to the number 23 car. That's Michael Tibbetts on the outside in 21st. A whole lot of action back here mid-pack. In front of him, a side-by-side fight. Sees Chance Crum on the attack. He wants the 34 spot.
He does want that spot. He takes that spot now as the 83 car makes his way off of turn number 4. He's moved his way up a little bit right now as he sets his sight on the 62 of Sean Dower. That's going to be a race here momentarily as they fight through the corner. Here he comes right now, the 83 of Chance Crum. He's making a move, looking to the inside. He's going to look to the inside. He's got the inside as they head down the backstretch.
And almost forcing that 3 wide because the 18 just in front of them, Jay Anderson, a little bit slow off the quarter, and it looked like Sean Dower went to make a move on him just as the 83 dropped to the bottom on him himself. So almost 3 wide, 62 backs out of it, allows Chance Crum to get down the inside, and then Sean Dower makes the move of the 18 of Jay Anderson. Very slow right now on the racetrack. Trouble for the 27 Gary Bauer. That driver was out in the grass and rejoined the racing surface down in quarter number 2. Doesn't hit anything else, but does cost him a significant amount of time. Started this race in 18th, and he'll actually fall to 33rd, dead last on the grid after that trouble at a quarter 4. You'll take a look at the replay right now. And again, very lucky to be able to go down through the grass and stay off the accelerator for the most part. Very easy to get down there into the infield grass, spit it back up in front of traffic. Does cost them a lot of time, but again, the big picture, that race car is still on track and still in this race, though. They'll fall 1 lap to the negative.
Well, that's going on there, Evan. We got ourselves a battle for the lead on 4 cars now, kind of accordion back together here as Eberhardt's actually closed the gap on Richardson. It's down to 0.2 of a second now as they head back into turn number 3.
And that 90 has been chipping away ever since he got around the number 19 to Brent Pucari right on the first lap of this race. He's not planned on looking back any time at all. A gap that was nearly a second now closing, but caution flag at a racetrack for the first time tonight. Going to slow us all down and got some smoke down in corners 3 and 4. Trying to get a look at it. Looks like the number 97 car going to be having the issues down in corner 3. That's Darren Sizemore's Toyota Camry. Looks like he was on the outside of the racetrack as we work on getting the cameras on that machine. Just looks like he may have nipped the wall, and he coming out of quarter 2. Got real tight. That allowed the 08, the 84 to get around him. Everybody was passing him. And then I think it looked like that number 25 behind him, but Bobby Zelensky went to the bottom to make a move, and maybe the 97 didn't see him or figured the 25 would be lower. Nonetheless, miscommunication between those 2 drivers. He comes down, gets turned, and goes right back up head on into the outside wall, absolutely destroying that race car. And looks like Jordan Malish may have also gotten a piece of it.
That's a tough break right there. That goes back to, as the replay's going up right now, that just goes to show you, coming off these corners, this track's pretty wide. You can go wide, but those corners really shrink up pretty quick and pretty fast, and I think that was a great example of that.
And with that, these drivers take their first breather tonight and head down to the pit lane for many of the drivers towards the back half of this field. Meanwhile, for your race leaders, not a lot of action on the pit lane that time by as pit road opened for the first time this evening. None of your top runners even batting an eye and taking a look. However, quite a few drivers do come down back to the pack. Doesn't seem like a very big thing at this stage in the race, but we have seen many of time in these races here. You have somebody come down pit road on an early caution flag. You don't think a lot about it. Everybody's looking at the leaders, and 8 laps in, you know, a lot of the time nobody's really going to bite on that pit strategy call early, although it doesn't seem like a lot. Those 8 laps could really come in handy at some other point in the race. So if you're if you're at the back of the pack, why not come down and top off?
Not a bad move at all, especially this time, like you said, fuel mileage. We talked about earlier that these races could have a tendency to have long green flag runs in the middle. That 8 laps can mean a lot towards the end of the race. We know how some of these fuel mileage races end up being. So not surprised the leader stayed out. Want that track position, don't want to be marred back into that traffic and kind of in the hornet's nest, if you say. But yeah, no, not surprised the leader stayed out, and definitely not surprised a lot of those guys mid-pack back came in to top off and get some tires.
And your race leader is ready to get back going already. They line up side by side. Not quite yet. The light's still on top of the iRacing.com. First Ford Mustang pace car, as well as around this virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. The two still up in front of this race. Big movers, though, so far. How about Tyler Ducharme? The 08 Chevrolet started in 24th position on a provisional. Right now, sits 8th on the racetrack, and that is due in part because of the drivers that we saw towards the back half of the field, and then as well, a couple of them about mid-pack did come down pit road this last time by. He was in 13th before the caution flag, so that shows you that at least 5 drivers in front of him came down the pit road, but a net gain of 18 or so spots that early on, not a bad deal for the 08 machine.
No, not at all. Chris Scully even started 31st with a provisional. He's up to 10th right now, so a lot of different strategies out here early on, 9 laps into this thing. So some guys staying out, some guys going in, some guys choosing to get that track position, some guys choosing to keep it, and some not really caring at this moment.
And that's only going to continue every single time we see a caution flag. Tonight somebody rolls a different die, and it's very easy to just mark it up as a pit stop. But at the end, again, these off-sequence stop, and the staggering, I like to call it, as the lights go up in a pace car. But you get these pit stops where everybody's staggered. They're not all coming down together. Everybody comes in and they're at different increments. And again, a lot of that can do with how the caution flags fly tonight. That could be a very big game changer when it comes to the end of the race, not only in who may have a tire advantage, but as well where you end up on the racetrack when it's time to roll for all of the marbles. So the lights are off on top of the pace car. We are going to get back green flag racing. This first caution flag coming just inside of lap number 7, and it'll be extinguished following lap number 10. It's going to be 140 laps to go this time by the start-finish line. Top 4 still the same as they were on the start. Over a little bit of a shuffle up. Now Daniel Lee Eberhardt going to be on the outside of the front row instead of being in 3rd spot. He swaps with the car that started in 2nd, now sits 3rd on the inside of row 2. Brent Pucari going to line up behind your race leader. Pace car down, and again, Marcus Richardson, absolutely no hesitation on the delay there. Green flag flies, back underway we go. No challenge for 1st, and this time no challenge for 2nd. A good job by the 90 machine for being on the outside of the front row, for being able to hang on to 2nd. That'll make the fight for 3rd, and it's Pucari down low.
It is Pucari right now. He's got that inside line on the 442 of David Shutt. Shutt now stay hanging tough on that outside, had that momentum. He's going to lose it now as Pucari's going to now take that position. The battle, though, now is for the 7th spot now. They're side-by-side off of 4.
And that's that 08 of Tyler Ducharme we were talking about. Try to move through the field. He goes to the inside on Hugo Lutner and going to be able to complete that pass at the start-finish line, up to 6th position, and now 18 spots in a positive from where he was at the start. Just in front of him, a good fight. The 33 of Kyle Putz trying to get somewhere. That's a battle between 2 Ford Fusions. In trouble for the 42 of David Shutt, the car in P4. He's blowing up in 3 and 4.
It's a lot of smoke. Everyone able to get by him for now. It's going to be interesting to see if he can get all the way back around and make it back to pit road before he runs out of steam there. But wow, interesting thing right there. I don't know, he must have had some damage from that first incident.
Yeah, it was just taking a look on the front end of that Ford Fusion. A lot of the time when something happens, the front end of these race cars can get damaged, and what it'll do is it's going to overheat your race car. But I don't see any damage on David Shutt's entry, so unless he accidentally didn't take the qualifying tape off of this thing, some sort of an engine failure, but he may have left the Q-tape on it.
Could have missed a shift or something, or just over-revved it. Something happened. That was very, very interesting, quite honestly. But right now, the battle for the lead's really heating up. Eberhardt really putting the pressure on Richardson into 3.
And again, they're trying to close in on that race leader as David Shutt continues to try to coast around and get to the pit lane. If he does come to a complete stop at a racetrack, the sim may throw a caution flag. He can essentially make that race car come to a stop and take a quick tow to pit road and try to get it repaired, but that may put us in a situation where the caution flag may be thrown. He is going to be able to coast down the pit lane. The racetrack stays clean and green. The top three this time, the magic number, that are trying to pull away, and although they battle just within 0.4 of a second of each other, the big news is they have a second plus on fourth on back. That's where Kyle Butt sits again. Just was able to make a move not all that long ago on a couple of drivers there inside the top five. Now Tyler Ducharme, though, in his own right, closing in on him. I'll tell you, that 08 machine is flying. No time in practice, no time in qualifying, but I can tell you that he does have a fast entry because he's up to fifth, and I don't think he's quite done yet.
No, that's going to be a name we're going to have to watch all race long, but that just goes to show what you said earlier on, Evan, that who hasn't turned a lap here? Who hasn't turned 1,000 laps at this track, being one of the original tracks that you get with the service? So it doesn't matter what car you put on this track. Everybody's been on this track, so practice or not, look at him go. He's sitting here right now fifth, trying to get that fourth spot.
And he is the fastest car on the racetrack for the most part, just a little bit slower than the top two, but everybody else in the mid pack, he is quite dead on. Now, caution flag again, slowed down in corner number 2 is Alex Pack, but that's not going to be the cause for the caution flag in this one. Big trouble down the back straightaway. Looks like William Hale involved in the middle of all of this. That's the 84 machine of William Hale. That Chevrolet turned around on the back straightaway. The hashtag sleeves up American Red Cross entry down the back straightaway again. I don't know about this one. Interesting one on this, Andy. The 84 on the inside, the 83 on the outside. Chance Crum getting a big run. I think he saw the 84 sliding high and wanted to cross him over, but it looked like that 84 William Hale, although it looked like he got dumped, that car got sideways, I believe, before there was contact.
Yeah, that was interesting. I know a lot of guys were complaining about getting loose here. It seemed like talking to a lot of guys, it seemed like a really snug type of setup, but then a lot of guys said they were getting loose. So I'm not sure, maybe getting in traffic or things like that, maybe it caused a little bit on the car mishandling on them. But yeah, that was unfortunate right there for those guys.
So he pushed up the racetrack, tried to get a handle on it, ended up in a wall, and then got hit from behind by the 61 of Jason Stout, who was not able to get around it. That was essentially a 3-wide battle coming up on a car that was in the wall. It's probably not going to end well, and unfortunately Stout gets into the back and causes extensive chaos. Looks like the 34, the 54 maybe gets some minor damage, but William Hale taking the worst end of this in the middle of the racetrack. He gets plowed by Richard Schwint, and many other drivers involved. About a 5-6 car incident is going to bring us under the second caution flag for the night. And as those race leaders come down to the pit lane, you're going to see a change for the top spot in all of that. It's going to be now the number 6, Ken Baum Jr., to the top spot in this race. After qualifying in P5, he'll go up to the top spot. You'll see Gary Bauer up there. That's the driver that was off at a lead lap earlier out in the grass. Now he's in one of the top running spots as he comes down to the pit lane, so everybody's shuffling up. And again, we'll see that little bit of a pit strategy with 2 tires versus 4.
2 tires, no tires, 4 tires. It's going to be interesting. I think these guys up front, listen, now's the time to try it, Evan. If you're going to try 2 tires, see what it's going to do, see how you can hold off these guys with 4. I really think that 4 really prevails here, probably 99.9% of the time, but we'll have to see how these guys hold up. And, of course, a couple of them that just took a splash right there, they could have taken 4, I believe. I'll have to check on that, but he might have taken 4 tires on that last caution.
You're absolutely right. If you're going to take a stab at a strategy, although you never want to give up track position, because although Charlotte Motor Speedway, not the easiest track to make a pass on, it's not the hardest either if you do have a fast race car, but you never want to throw away track position. But if you're going to take a gamble and see what those tires are going to do, or what those lack of tires, rather, is going to mean for you back out there on the racetrack with 4 Goodyear Eagles for everybody behind you, it might as well be at lap 20 instead of lap 120, because still 130 laps to go in this race. That is plenty of time for, if you do fall at least 10 spots or something to that extent, try to be able to get your way back up there. Not only are the drivers on those tires taking information from this Indy, but as well, everybody on 4 tires who's quote-unquote playing it safe this time, they're keeping an eye as well to see how good those guys fare on those 2 tires and no tires, and they're going to put that in their notebook in case they want to try it, depending on what they see.
Yeah, another thing I'm noticing too, a couple of guys, notably the 2 of Richardson and the 19 of Pancari, both those guys through the corners are actually running on the apron, so I don't know if they're trying to save fuel this early too. I mean, I've never seen cars try to save that much fuel this early in a race, but there's definitely so much different strategy going on here, and why not? I mean, a lot of these guys don't really race with each other. You're talking 4 different leagues here, all mixed into one in an all-star event, so they're not really familiar with racing each other, so they're not sure, what strategies these guys like to play, so it's all a different thing, and maybe some of this stuff's just playing mind games with these guys.
It's right. You'll see some of the drivers. You'll see a set of 2, 3, 4 drivers who race in the same league with each other. They're going to be running with each other on the racetrack, and then once you get mixed in with the other guys, it can be interesting if you've never raced with somebody to be able to go there. You're not going to be able to drive toe-to-toe with them, I would think, like you would if it's somebody that you've been driving with week in and week out. Field shuffles once again. This time it's going to be Ken Baum Jr. going to be in control of this field, and on the outside of the racetrack is that number 6 machine, that 5 of Chris Scala down on the inside lane, and a lot more hesitation. This by green flag flies back underway, and although a good restart by the 5 machine, the 6 still going to be able to be clear. Top 2 once again, no fight to be rounded down to quarter number 1, but it is P3 on back again. The fight, and here comes Marcus Richardson trying to get back to 3rd. He'll get around the 90 machine to 33, though Kyle Putz trying to get into 4th on the 90. That's Daniel Lee Eberhardt trying to close the door in that fight.
Eberhardt closes the door for now. He's going to fall back in the line at 4th place behind Richardson. Now your top 5, 6, 7 guys all strung out single file here. Kenny Baum, though, he's pulled out to a 2, almost 3 car length lead now over 2nd.
Side by side for 8th, the 77 of Hugo Lidner going to be able to get the spot on the number 15 5-hour Energy Toyota of Ariati, and now the 83 of Chance Crum coming into the fight as well. That's a 3-car fight for the last couple of spots inside the top 10 down to quarter 1. Meanwhile, inside the top 5 and going backwards is Chris Scala. The Captain Morgan Chevy stuck way up high and significantly slower than the freight train on the bottom.
That just shows you right there, 4 tires. He showed up pretty quick for Richardson and Eberhardt. Both of those guys able to get under him in that turn number 1, get around him rather easily. Now Scala's just going to fall back almost like a rock here. And now it's going to see how long Richardson's going to take to get up to Kenny Baum Jr. as it's closed the gap significantly now as they head back into 3.
That is going to put that number 25 machine of Bobby Zelensky up to 6th as the 5 falls all the way to 7 on the racetrack. Meanwhile, for the race lead, that 6, no challenge once Marcus Richardson got to the bottom, and much like we just saw with Scala, way backwards is going to be Ken Baum Jr. 2 tires and no tires again up at the front of the field. It shows that the 4 are prevailing, and once they get to the bottom, not only is that the preferred way around this racetrack, you might be able to fight and challenge somebody on the outside, but when they have the tires in their favor as well, you could pretty much forget about it, and we saw how easy Marcus Richardson made it, and really the 90 of Daniel Lee Eberhardt and Kyle Putz in a 33, really you have to do much to fight either. They just followed that 2 machine through. Once he punched that hole, and it was clear sailing.
Easy enough for that now. Now the question is going to be is how far does Kenny Baum Jr. and Chris Scala fall backwards? Looks like they've settled in line right now in the 6th and 7th spot, but we'll see if any of these other guys can catch up to him right now as Richardson's still holding that commanding lead. I mean, Eberhardt's been able to get close a couple times, but right now about 4 car lengths separate the 2, still into turn number 1 and 2.
The 29 drivers on the lead lap. William Hale is out of this race. That driver behind the wall and done. Richard Swint is still out there, but that car on pit road severely damaged in 31st. Looks like their night may be over. David Shuck still on the racetrack on pit lane. The crew taking a look, but that machine may be done for the evening. Same situation with Darren Sizemore. So 3 drivers out of the race so far, and 1 driver going to officially have a DNF. William Hale will most likely fall back to last in this race. And Marcus Richardson gets to the clean air, and it's the opposite of what we've been seeing the last couple of times. Eberhardt, really the biggest challenge for the number 90 has been the fact that he has not been in a position to really challenge on these restarts. But Eberhardt's been closing on Richardson the last couple of times. This time it's Richardson pulling away and doing so rather quickly.
As Richardson is taking control of this event right now as we're working lap number 29.
Sideways in corners 1 and 2. The 5 of Chris Scala going to get down on the apron. He hangs on to it, but close call there, right in the middle of the pack. And it looks like although he found a spot in line, it wasn't enough for those, that machine with the lack of tires to find some stability. He's really struggling to hang on, and looks like the 31 and the 4 are going to get around him as well.
Yeah, that's that 2 tires right there. I think, you know what, even though Kenny Baum struggled at the beginning of the run there and a bunch of guys got around him, his car is much more stable because he took no tires. So just that splash and go is probably a smart move. We all know taking 2 tires will definitely free the car up just a bit. So we saw that right there with Chris Scala, and he's having some issues. It's going to be a long road for him if this thing stays green for a long time.
And that's the gamble you take when you try to go with that tire strategy, is it could work out, and if it doesn't work out, how badly does the cookie crumble in this case? And for those drivers still going backwards, doesn't look like a favorable situation right now. How about a dogfight back just inside the top 20, the number 22 machine in the middle of the racetrack right now? That's Michael Rasmussen. He just got passed by the 34, the 24 as well, and the 17 of Brian Ray trying to get around him. So Rasmussen started in 34th and has cut the trail rather to get to the top spot in half after starting in 34th. Did get up to about 17th position, now starting to slide back, and he's got a front row view of the fight with the 34 and the 24. Cheney not even get a challenge, and Brian Smith with a damaged race car making passes.
And here comes Rasmussen. Now he's going to try to look at the inside of Cheney. Not going to happen this time by into turn 3. Everybody gets single file. Rasmussen, he almost gets it. Thought he was going to get into the back of Cheney there for a second. He kind of lets off the throttle. That's going to put the 17 back in his clutches. Brian Ray now going to try to look to see if he can get around the 22 as they head back into turn number 1.
And all of this happening about 8.5 seconds off of your race leader, but nonetheless, it's a spot on the racetrack. Close call. Look at that 8 on the outside. Martin Porter absolutely flying through in a Storm Motorsports Chevrolet. Looked like he wanted to squeeze between the 22 and the fence, then wanted to go low. Didn't have enough room. The crossover at a 4. A man on a mission after starting in 21st. Sits there right now, but he wants more. To the inside on the 17 Coca-Cola Chevy of Brian Ray. Not going to be much of a challenge, I wouldn't expect, because that 8 really came flying up on this group in a hurry. Can't quite get clear, though. 17 with a good run at it, 2 get a challenge.
He's got a challenge right now, side by side, back into turn number 3. The 8 machine, he's looking on the inside. We talked about his fast qualifying he had there starting at 21st with that 10-minute qualifying time there, but look at him go now. He's found the speed that he needed as he clears the 17 of Brian Ray right now. He's going to set his sights on the 22 of Rasmussen. Rasmussen, after looking like he was going to have some speed going, it looks like he might have burned some of that rubber off the tires, because now he seems to be struggling and getting into these corners, maybe a little bit loose, touch loose. But right now the 8 car, he's definitely a man on the mission here off of turn 4.
And although it's not going to be an immediate situation as far as maybe 3-5 laps, maybe in 10-15, and Marcus Richardson, your race leader, is going to have to start to deal with lap traffic, running 27-second lap times. The back of the field's about 20 seconds off, or about 7 seconds in front of him. And the race leader's running nearly a second quicker a lap, so that could very well soon become a factor. The good news for Richardson is he'll have a gap now. He's not going to have to hold off somebody behind him and take some gutsy calls, because we have seen time and time again a race leader work through lap traffic, get into trouble because he's trying to make a shortcut, trying to make the quickest way through, evidently because he has pressure from behind. He makes a mistake. He does have a gap, albeit only 0.9 of a second, but it's something. You have to remember this early on in the race. You really don't want to make a bad mistake working around lap traffic as a race leader. Just get through it, get clean. He hasn't had to deal with that yet tonight, but as we work on the longest green flag stint of the evening so far, that is on the horizon as far as what these leaders are going to have to navigate.
That is. We got a great battle right now for that 5th spot. The 19, Bakari's got it. Here comes the 83 of Crum. Crum's been on the move here as of recently since the drop of the green flag now. He's just got Bakari now off of turn number 4. He's going to now set his sights on Zelensky. Zelensky, though, he's been fast too here in this run, now sitting 4th, but here comes that 83 into turn number 1.
Both Bobby Zelensky and Chance Crum started way back in this field. Zelensky in 4th, started in 26th, and Crum in 5th, started in 25th. Both of those drivers did put down top 10 practice times, wanted to start at the back, and when they did so, have already made up about 20 spots and 22 spots in the case of Zelensky in the opening 40 laps of this race. This is a big pack for about third on back, because you have Kyle Putz. Look to the inside. You're taking a look on with the 25. Chance Crum to the inside. Nearly contact. They go door to door. Down the back straightaway. 4 drivers, 3rd through 6th on a racetrack within half a second.
There he goes. Zelensky wisely gave that 83. Oh, the 83 washes up the track, leaves the bottom lane open. That's going to bottleneck everybody right now. Is now Bukari now at excuse me. He gets by him. So a little aggressive move there. Maybe got into the corner a little too fast there, a little too hot. Washed up the track, actually slowed down the 25. Zelensky on the tie side allowed 2 cars to get around him. So a mistake right there by the driver cost him a couple spots.
And you saw how close that contact nearly was. I think the 83 machine might have got a shot from behind from Bobby Zelensky in the 25, because we talked about how those drivers were going forward together. 83 just took them both out. The 25 evidently got to be frustrated. He lost 3 spots in that exchange after trying to let him go.
He did. Now the battle's here for Eddie. Eddie's now looking under Bukari now for that position. Now they're side by side into turn number 3. That's going to leave the door open. Now here comes back the 83 of Crum. Crum's going to now try to get another position back. That's Bukari's put in a position now. When he gets put to the outside, you're going to lose a couple spots here as they head back into turn number 1.
And at 19 on the outside of the racetrack, started in 2nd, but really has only gone backwards so far tonight. Then a 19 Toyota Camry will slot in behind the 83 of Chance Crum. So to put a car in between Zelensky and Crum, I feel like that 25 Red Bull entry, though, going to be getting back to the 83 rather soon here as he tries to challenge. But again, now it's 5 drivers, oh so close together, at a battle for the top 3 to the bottom. In quarter number 1 against the SRA's number 33 of Kyle Putz, it's the 15 of Ariati, the 5-hour Energy Toyota, beautifully executed pass to the bottom, slides high down the back straightaway, gets that spot, but look at this, still going at it, albeit they're 3.2 seconds off of the lead, but Putz, Addy, got Crum, Bukari, and Zelensky, 5 drivers within 0.4 of a second of each other that time by. It's closer than they were when they crossed the stripe right off of the restart.
Oh, it's a fantastic racing by these guys right now. If only they could catch those other 2 up front, we'd have something going on here. Now Crum, he's got the move right now, and Putz, he's going to look to the inside as they head back into turn number 3. Is Putz going to give him the room? It looks like he is this time, side by side now into turn number 3. Now the 19 of Bukari, he's going to want to try to get in on this mix, and it looks like he's going to be able to, but still side by side for that 4th spot there on the front straightaway.
And the 83 might have taken it a little bit easier that time in 3 and 4 after nearly having big woes last time he threw it down to the bottom of the racetrack. It allowed the 33 to challenge down the front, still challenging down the back. Putz using that 24 degrees of anchoring to get a big run down the back straightaway and into quarter number 3. Not giving up quite yet, but he may have to soon. The 83 going to shut the door, and the 33 into the outside retaining wall. It looked like it was going to be Chance Crum. He was clear trying to shut the door, Andy, and I feel that 33 was still trying to keep a nose, and he drove himself into the fence.
Yeah, take a off the nose right there, and they got him a little tight there coming off the corner. A little bit of damage on it. It's going to definitely hurt him on the aerodynamics part, as now he's going to get a challenge from Zelensky. Zelensky had a nose in there. He's got it back in there now, side by side. Going to push him up the track a little again, almost hitting the wall again for the 2nd time. That's Putz.
And that's going to really hurt that 33 when you talk about how close these drivers have been running, just like that, from a top 3 spot back to 7, which is the last place in that battle of 5 cars we've been talking about. Just in time, though, caution flag back out on the racetrack, spinner down the front. Looks like it's the Wrangler, number 23 of Michael Tibbetts, turned the wrong direction with heavy damage.
Yeah, heavy damage on the front and the back. Tough break for him right there.
You know, take a look at the replay right now. The incident happens down in quarter number 4. Michael Tibbetts at that time running in 21st position. Not the only driver involved in all of this as well. Around him and out through the grass goes Phil Gary in the 68 machine. A multi-car incident. Again, just as that battle kind of simmered down and they looked like that they were going to be able to take it easy for a little bit. And your race leader, Marcus Richardson, was enjoying a 2.1 second gap that he had grown. The 3rd caution flag flies for another time tonight. And now we slowed them back down, group them back up, just shy of the 1/3 mark.
Well, now they can all get fresh new tires, fill up with fuel, and they get to do it all over again.
And race leaders down the pit lane. Let's take a look at any strategy we'll see on this one. We saw 2 tires. Didn't quite work out. Marcus Richardson played it easy with 4. He ended up back in the top spot. Don't expect anything different. He's your race leader, and as well from the pole sitter who have that number 1 pit stall. Good entry for the Skittles number 2 Toyota Tundra. Right side tires going up down on the pit lane. Crew going to go over to the left side. 4 tire stop, gas and go. And I don't see anybody flying out on the right, so it looks like everybody on the extended end of a long green flag stretch taking 4 tires and no challenge. It'll still be Marcus Richardson, your race leader. Ariati going to jump from 3rd to 2nd, but not any major differences on the pit lane this time. So as we work again under a safety clean caution flag from the Charlotte Motor Speedway, we're 1/3 distance home in the Extreme Motorsports 99.com Sprint Cup Series All-Star Invitational on LSRTV. We'll take this quick opportunity to step away for just a moment to do some business. We'll be right back for the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway as this race continues on in just a couple of moments. Stay tuned.
Did you know that Lion's sense of vision is so powerful, it actually enables nearby creatures to see better? Here we see lions assisting the offspring of others, while their parents are elsewhere in the wild. Brilliant, isn't it? Making the wild kingdom look much better indeed. Do good, be a lion.
Back live at the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway under the lights tonight on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. It's the Extreme Motorsports 99.com Sprint Cup Series All-Star Invitational alongside Evan Pasoko, Andy Kessler, and our executive producer Laura Lawson, taking in all of the action with the North American Racing Network, the United Sim Racing, and as well Sim Racing Authority, and of course Extreme Motorsports 99, the leagues in action here tonight. And we're 1/3 distance home in this Sprint Cup Series All-Star Invitational in Concord, North Carolina. Marcus Richardson for the winning time tonight. For only once he hasn't been in a race lead, and that was on a tire strategy call that did not end well. So everybody under the caution flag there and under the commercial break coming down, and they're all rocking 4 fresh sets of Goodyear Eagles getting set to get back underway. 1/3 down, 2/3 to go. Still a long road to hoe and still a lot that can play out in this race. It's going to be the number 2 Toyota, though, pacing the field to green. Pace car down and away, and yet again, not mixing it up at all. Right on the loud pedal, green flag flies back underway across the start-finish line. Great job by the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt to follow your race leader through. He'll slot right into second. The 83 going to take third away from the 15 also.
That Crum with a power move right there, too, on the restart. That's going to put him in a 3rd spot. We got to keep our eye on him all race long now. This guy's been fast all throughout the race, moving his way up through the field. Started 25th. Now here he is, sitting 3rd, 1/3 of this race through, and off of turn number 4, he wants 2nd.
Just behind these guys, fight inside the top 5 up against the outside wall is the number 77, Hugo Lindner right now. Bobby Zelensky With the challenge to the inside, that's going to be side by side for 7th in quarter number 1. The Red Bull Chevy gets it over the Speed Energy Ford Fusion. Now the energy drinks down the back straightaway. The 77 thinks about going low. 25 steps down half a lane, shuts the door, and he'll retain 7th out into 3.
Single file now through the whole top half of this field right now. No real big major changes. A couple guys to note though. Kenny Baum Jr., who was up in the front, took those 2 tires. Now looking back in 24th.
And battle for the race lead. How about that? For the first time tonight, to the inside goes the Donnie of Daniel Lee Eberhardt. He passes the 2 of Marcus Richardson, who loses the race lead for the first time under green flag conditions. He'll fall back to 2nd. And I'll tell you, it's not like Eberhardt had to work a lot. He blew his door off, and he's gone by 7 car lengths. Not sure what they found in that Toyota, but it gave him a 3/10 gap that time by.
That it did. I'm not sure if they changed something on Richardson's car or what just happened right there, because he's now falling to the clutches of Crum now for that 2nd spot. Crum, he's got some momentum off turn number 2. Look to the inside, not going to have enough this time by, but he's going to slowly back his corner up, get all over the back bumper, that number 2 car off turn 4. Try to dive to the inside, but can't this time.
Marcus Richardson defending 2nd to have confirmation from race control. He led at lap number 44, so he'll get a $10 iRacing credit bonus for leading at the lap 44 mark. So although he sits in 2nd, was running in P1 when it counted in that award, and I'm sure he'd like to be running P1 at the end of this thing. But at least right now in 2nd, and looking like a completely different race car than what we saw earlier, because he's getting run over to the inside. Chance Crum from 25th position. He wants 2nd to the bottom at the stripe.
He's got a nose in there as they head back into turn number 1, door to door, side by side. Whoa, gets a little loose, the 2 car, that's Richardson.
He's in the fence.
He's in the fence, he's losing a bunch of spots, can he hang on to it?
Sideways and almost taken out of this race, but the 2 something has happened with Marcus Richardson. Won the Xfinity Series All-Star 1 season ago, won the Truck Series All-Star earlier in 2015, was not there for the Xfinity All-Star this season, so trying to go 3 for 3 tonight, and something has taken a major downhill swirl in the last 5 laps for the number 2 of Marcus Richardson. He'll now get passed by the 77 of Hugo Linder, which is going to be for 8th on the racetrack. He wants that spot back to the inside, down to quarter number 3. Looks like he'll be able to challenge.
He will, side by side now through 3 and 4. Richardson, he's going to have him cleared now off of turn number 4. He's gathered it in now. Maybe he can get this thing righted up, but sometimes when guys lose it like that, a lot comes off of those tires, so we'll have to see if he can make any more ground up. But right now, Richardson's struggling here in this 2nd third of the race, and Eberhardt continues to pull away.
And not only is it a big issue with those tires getting heated once you get real sideways like that, but it could also be a psyche thing with the driver. You make a mistake like that, kind of hard to go back in there and commit to a full throttle corner, really throw it in there like you did the lap prior, and you almost wrecked it in 2. Right back at it on the attack, and he's going after the 54 of Nick Northrop in 1. That
he is going to make little time of that pass right there as he still hugs that bottom line. Car's looking fine right now here. He's making a lot of speed as he pulls away now from the 54, and he's going to try to set his sights now back on the 19 of Picari. He's got a ways to go, though. He's found himself almost back about a 2nd.
And the flood drains have opened on the inside of the 54 of Nick Northrop. Once the number 2 went through there, he brought friends with him. The number 77 of Hugo Linder to the inside of the racetrack. That's going to be a side-by-side spot for 8th. Almost contact. Jason Stout, the Stimworks Ford Fusion, trying to go to the bottom, and not sure the 54 was coming down at the 61 went up, but they just about touched in 1. That would have been very bad, so the 61 gets off the throttle, and that's going to allow that number 4 Jimmy John's Freaky Fast Chevy, Mike Rominger, to be able to get to the back of him with Chris Scala, 2 names that we've seen up front earlier in this race trying to get back there.
And Chris Scala has been able to rebound from that the 2-tire pit stop he made on that last call, but Rominger, I'm surprised with him. I thought he'd be up to the front a lot quicker than he has been, but right now he's getting a little heated pressure from Scala. Scala all over his back bumper through 3 and 4 right now. He's going to, looks like Rominger's actually going to pull away just a little bit here on the front straightaway, but a good battle for all these spots right here for the top 10.
And this looks like we saw before that most recent caution, a set of drivers. We were watching 5 drivers within 0.4 of a second of each other. Right here, 8th position on back to 13th. You're looking at a set of 6 drivers within 1 second. Right in the middle of that, a side-by-side fight. That's that 5 that we've been talking about. It's Chris Scala to the inside on Mike Rominger. The 4 saw the 5 sliding up, and 3 got high to get out of his way, and it's going to be Scala who checks up, so he won't get that spot, and he'll have to regroup and try to go back on the attack. But again, you can see when you throw these cars to the inside, although we have seen loose race cars at times, they're a tight race car that snaps loose, which, if anything, that's probably one of the worst combinations you could think of.
Oh, absolutely, especially when you're on the inside of somebody like that. Takes the air off the back end of the car, and woo, these things especially these Cup cars, man, with so much horsepower in their rear wheels, you get on that throttle a little too early in the wrong spot like that, and that's exactly what's going to happen to these guys, and that might have happened to the two of Richardson not too long ago.
Richardson, one of the drivers, continuing his charge back to the field. He's been able to get to 7th. His eye's going to be set on Brent Bugari and Ari Atti, who are in 6th and 5th position, respectively, about half a second in front of him. But Daniel Eberhard, it's smooth sailing, at least at this moment, for the number 90 Toyota. 1.1 seconds to the good over Chance Crum and Tyler Ducharme. Take a look at where these guys started versus where they run right now. Daniel Eberhard, who's your race leader, started in 3rd. Behind him, 3 drivers that started 24th, 25th, and 26th with no queue times are up inside the top 5.
A little bit of strategy early on we talked about with those early caution flags, and then some good hard racing has gotten these guys right where they want. We talked about the 08 being very fast. He was making some moves early on to get in the top 10. Now he finds himself sitting here in the top 3, and Chance Crum also was making some big moves on that last go around. And look at him here after a great restart, able to get around a couple guys, and then he's able to capitalize on that, now running 2nd. The problem is he just can't catch that 90 car at this moment.
And not surprising to see the Sim Racing Authority running so strong right now. Talked about how he dominated the Xfinity 2014 All-Star as well as the Truck Series 2015. Both won by Marcus Richardson, but their entire team, all the drivers they have brought out to represent in this All-Star Invitational, every single time we see them, and we've been fortunate enough to see them twice already this year on LSRTV. They've come to play. Tonight, absolutely no difference, but I said on that restart when we came back from the commercial break that this race, 1/3 down, 2/3 to go, there's still a lot to happen. I wasn't quite expecting to see that our race leader, who's been the best car all night, would nearly wreck into the fence and drop nearly outside of the top 10, but it's exactly right. You think you're safe, and then as soon as you do, you can't take that for granted because you see that these drivers are on the ragged edge and so close to that line. Bad entry, if anything. You could chalk up that issue for Marcus Richardson. The car, we thought the tires might have been heated. He's fine. He's going back forward, but it costs him a lot of space, so it shows that in 150 laps, it's 300 times you're going to dive down into a corner. You're going to hit your marks every single time, and sometimes for a race leader also, kind of easy to kind of lose your marks, kind of lose where your braking points are, why you're going to pick back up on the throttle. For a car that sits in 2nd position, Andy, as a driver, when you have somebody in front of you, you can base what you're doing, you can base your line, and you can base how hard you're driving that race car off of the car in front of you. Sometimes if you're in front, you kind of get a little bit of tunnel vision. Forget about that, and may have been was one of the things that affected Marcus Richardson that allowed those guys to get to the bottom because, again, not sure if it was something they tried to adjust on pit road, but he really just did not have the speed at all, anywhere close to what he had before the caution. However, right now, though, he's back to being the fastest on the racetrack, so I wonder if it was more of a mental thing at the start there versus something going on with that race car because he's right back up the pace, but he's falling to 7th.
Yeah, he's actually gained about half a second now in the last 3 laps, so we're keeping an eye on him. So he's definitely making up some ground, and whatever it was, he's definitely shaking the bugs out of it because that car seems to be just as fast as he has been early on. The problem is, like you say, now he's back in traffic, and he's got to try to make his way around. So 2.6 seconds doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're talking at a track like this, when you got these cars running such pretty equivalent speeds, lap in and lap out, it takes a while to make up that 3 seconds.
How about almost contact for 3rd, the 25 of Bobby Zelensky to the inside. Now the 15 of Ariatti's into the outside wall. 3-car fight for 3rd yet again. It was Ducharme in the 08 who squeezed the 25 a little bit, and Zelensky bobbled into the corner. Somehow was able to keep control of that race car, and much to the pleas, I guess, of Tyler Ducharme, didn't slide up and take the 08 out, who wasn't given a whole lot of leeway in between those two drivers. They hang on, they keep going, and they're still fighting now at a corner number 2. This time, though, the 15 wants to get to the inside before the 25 can get back to the 08. Side by side for 4th in corner 3.
Side by side for 4th. That's Ariati. He's now on the inside lane. He's got that position over Zelensky. Still side by side though. Zelensky hanging on tough. Here comes the 19. He's going to try to give the 15 a little push. And look who's come into the picture now as they're double wide, 2 rows deep now. And that's all for that 4th spot.
And they're still going at it. 15 gets clear. The 25 thinks about a crossover. Not going to do it, though. Staying in line is Bobby Zelensky for the moment. The 2 of Marcus Richardson on the outside of the racetrack. Going to make a move already on the number 19. Now to the inside of the racetrack on the 25. He's flat flying, and a lot of time you'll see as they go side by side in front of them again. The 15, the 08, almost contact again with Arianti in the 08. Tyler Ducharme, the defensive pinch 2 times, has nearly gotten that DuPont Chevy in trouble. Somehow, though, stays all right. The 15 slides back to Marcus Richardson. A lot of the time you'll see somebody be fast. You throw them back there into the mid-pack area once they lose that track position, and they're very slow. They don't have the speed. Not the case for Marcus Richardson, looking as fast as he's been all night. He's bobbing inside out and still moving forward.
And he's making that outside line work right now with that 24 degrees of banking. Really working to his advantage right now. Carries some momentum, able to get around the 15. Now he's going to try to set his sights on 3rd place there. He's really closing a gap here. I don't know what they did to that car, but it sure didn't look good at the beginning, but that thing sure looks real fast right now.
And a 15 all over the back of him as well as the 2 tries to set up something on Tyler Ducharme for 3rd. We've seen the 08 shut the door on the inside of India. Time goes low a little bit too early. That opens up the door. Not going to be able to defend that one side by side. Down the back straightaway, it is going to be Marcus Richardson, the 2 on the inside of the 08. And I'll tell you, Tyler Ducharme gave it everything he had in the 3. Had the advantage till about halfway through the corner, but the 2 gets back to the accelerator, and you can forget about it. Marcus Richardson back up to 2nd on the racetrack as he tries to continue to close in. Next driver he'd have to get to is Chance Crum as he tries to get back to that 2nd spot. It looks like, though, Chance Crum significantly further in front. Look at this, 3 wide with lap traffic. Hello, all around that battle still for 3rd. Contact with the 15.
Wow, lap traffic just played a huge role into that mess right there. The 08, he's going to go from 3rd all the way back down to 6th, it looks like right now, as they come back down into turn number 1 and 2. The battle right now, though, that's for that 4th spot. That's Ariati and Bob Zelensky. They're side by side off of turn number 2.
Big loser in that is Joe Petrix, the 67, got into the wall. He's a lap machine in that battle, and it's not going to affect any of the running order inside the top 10. But we talked about leaders having to deal with lap traffic on that last green flag stint. Just played a major factor in that battle for 3rd on back that last time. Great news, though. Marcus Richardson allows him to get a 2nd and about 2 more 10s on this battle for 4th on back. But these guys still far from over that 5-hour energy Toyota Arianti, just in front of Bob Zelensky and then as well Brent Bucari. 3 drivers, 4th, 5th, and 6th. The inside going to be the place to be, though, as they single file for the moment in 4.
Single file now to the back front. Now here comes Bucari. Now he's going to try to make a move on Zelensky. Kind of a crossover move off turn 4 as they head back into turn 1. Side by side. Oh, Bucari almost gets up into him right there. Zelensky, smart, gets off the gas a little bit, gives him a little bit of room, allows him to gather it in, but now they're still side by side, heading back into turn number 3.
And that 25 almost reacted like they did make contact, or it got loose, but how about a crossover? The 19 throws it in to get clear. 25, easy entry, hard on exit, and a huge run down to corner number 1. 199 miles an hour for Bobby Zelensky. He'll take that spot right back from Brent Bucari. These 2 drivers putting on a Class A show down the back straightaway. Nobody wants to give it up.
That was a classic crossover move right there. Bucari trying to make him clear, trying to dive it way in there. We've seen that a couple times with the guys trying to do that, and they end up washing up the track. We saw it cause a little bit of an issue earlier on, and right there he was lucky that he wasn't collected up in that, but a great move right now. But Bucari's definitely got a fast car. He's able to pull right back up to the bumper of Zelensky, so just a mistake right there. Cost you another position and actually brings the 08 of Tyler Ducharme back into the picture also.
Ducharme was in front of all of these drivers at one point. Now he ends up at the back of that battle that has been going on for fourth and company for the longest of time. Behind them, trying to work around some lap traffic, is the 77, Hugo Lindner. Talking about him right off the green flag. He's dropped back one more spot since the restart. He's in 8th right now. Behind him, though, that number 4 of Mike Rominger. All over him, the 54 of Nick Northrop becoming a factor in this race. Started in 23rd and sits 10th right now. He's joining the picture as well. And 4th through 10th on the racetrack, just 1.5 seconds in separation.
It's just a fantastic battle now after, all these green flag laps and the hard driving and some beating and banging we've seen here tonight. That these guys, toward the middle of a fuel run, they just all seem to come back together again like that. The leaders, though, still kind of maintaining his 1.4 second lead, but these guys back here are putting on a clinic, and this is some fun racing to watch.
And battle's not only there, but throughout this entire lead lap set of race cars. How about the 34 of Brian Smith, 15th? He is under attack right now by the 8 of Martin Porter, the 6 and the 33, so Ken Baum Jr. and Kyle Putz joining in on the fray. How about 2 wide, 2 rows deep, outside the top 15 to quarter 1. They're fighting all over the racetrack at Charlotte, and here's a good one in 1 and 2.
That it is right now, the 8 car, Martin Porter, he's got that inside line, but the 34 of Brian Smith was able to make it work on the outside, get that momentum run. Now the guy's single file back again, but here comes the 33. He's trying to put some pressure on Kenny Baum Jr. Baum Jr. now, he's got a wicked run here off of turn number 4 on Martin Porter. Give him that spot, and here comes the 33 of Kyle Putz to follow.
And that's going to leave the 8 on the outside. The 8 is like to being up there for the most part. They got a single file out for the lap traffic. It's going to stall the 8 for the moment. How about some battling inside of the top 10? The number 54 of Nick Northrop from 10th to 8th, and doing it on the outside of the racetrack. He just passed Hugo Lindner and Mike Rominger to jump up 2 spots, and he's now in single digits.
Yeah, that's another guy started deep in the field. No qualifying time, no practice time again for him. And here he is up there battling top 10 position, working on trying to get that number 7 spot away from the 08 of Tyler Ducharme. He's putting pressure on him now as they head back into turn number 3.
And that 08 still a factor in all of this. Tyler Ducharme in 7th. Better get defensive once again because he's about to get battled by the 54. Take a look on board with the 6 machine back here in traffic. This is the fight we've been talking about for 15th position. Ken Baum Jr. to the bottom of the racetrack. What you don't see the 33 pushing him down to corner number 1. Kyle Putz on a back bumper trying to help that 6 get through down low as the 34 tries to hang on up on the high side. Lap traffic in front of them. This could get interesting in 3.
Yeah, that looks like Rasmussen right in front of him. Weren't we just talking about him being in the top 5? He's got some trouble. He's falling back now, lap down, but here comes Kenny Baum Jr. leading the parade off of turn number 4. All 5 of these guys all accordioning back from 15th on back to 20th.
And Brian Smith in the 34 has to get down to the bottom of the racetrack to avoid a 3-wide situation. That's going to allow Martin Porter to complete the pass on him, and that no longer going to be a battle on the racetrack. However, still inside the top 10, they fight back and they fight up front. How about the 54 machine? Out of nowhere, here comes Nick Northrop again. Now he's fighting with Tyler Ducharme. Was 10th about 5 laps ago. Got the last 2 on the outside, now to the inside, and dips those left side tires below the white line. Gets a huge run of speed out of quarter number 2, and now he'll take over the number 7 spot.
Yeah, move Northrop up another spot right now, and as the 8 almost comes under fire from Hugo Lindner, that's going to be another battle right there. That's a position for position number 8 right now. As Northrop starts to pull away from these guys, he's going to try to get himself up into the top 5. But right now, at 77, Hugo Lindner's had some trouble, it seems, tonight passing people. Every time he wants to get a run and get to the inside, everybody just keeps shutting the door.
And he looks to the inside on the 08's got to check up as Ducharme again continuing that defensive holding of that middle lane on the racetrack. There's enough room to put your car to the bottom, but either you got to back out of it or you're going to slide up and take him out. So the 08 forcing these guys into a position to either go, put everything on the table or back it off and try to set him back up. So the 77 to 4 behind him, Hugo Lindner back 2 spots from the start of the race. Mike Rominger right now up 1 spot from the start of the race in 10th position. Part of that 3-car battle down the back straightaway. and into quarter number 3. The intervals, by the way, at the top of the field right now slowly starting to creep in lap by lap. It's Daniel Eberhardt now by 1.2 seconds over Chance Crum, who had a terrible go last time around, and Eberhardt with a 28.1 didn't hurt his hopes at all. He'll go to 1.2 seconds back to Chance Crum, and it's 2.1 seconds back to Marcus Richardson. It's a lot smaller intervals than what we saw about 20-25 laps ago when we went back to green flag racing after the 1/3 mark in this race. So although he's starting to close, now we're getting down to the point coming up to 50 laps to go that the green flag pit stops could be the difference between crucial tenths of a seconds gained or lost. And this is where these races come down to strategy, not as far as track position wise, but as far as executing on the pit lane under green flag conditions. Although it seems like a very easy thing, you can play it easy and not risk a mistake, but Andy, if you take it easy, there is a lot of time that you give up to somebody who goes on an aggressive approach.
Oh, you have to be aggressive to get on pit road. Like we talked about early on, that goes in with how you get onto pit road. You can't be getting down onto the apron in the middle of 3 and 4. You're going to lose a ton of time because if you don't slow down, you're going to spin that thing right out. So you really got to stay on that bottom line of the track to like pretty much the last second until you dive onto pit road. And then you got to make sure you don't speed. You get caught speeding on a green flag pit stop, you can get your chances of a great finish right out the window here. So we got a wicked battle right now for second as Richardson, he's putting the pressure on Crum now. They're side by side as they hit to the stripe. That's a great battle right now for that second spot. Richardson still making his way to the front after trouble earlier.
And I don't know what happened with Chance Crum, but he was about a second in front of Richardson just a lap ago and has really started to fall off. Those tires may have hit a cliff. Not going to have to worry about green flag pit stops, though. Caution flag is out at Charlotte, just shy of the lap 100 mark. It's junked down in corner number 2. And Hugo Lindner, the number 77 Speed Energy Ford Fusion, involved in this incident. That means it was a battle for those spots that we were talking about. And I can't say I'm too surprised at how this one all went down, Andy. They're going down to quarter number 1. The 77 looks to the inside on the 08 machine of Tyler Ducharme in front of him. And, you know, the 77 dumped the 08. I mean, he ran into him, but for all the, maybe blocking isn't the word, but pinching that 08 has been doing it. Not surprised to see this contact, and unfortunately it takes 4 drivers with the 61 as well. These guys were putting on one of those clinics for the last 20 laps, and they just couldn't hold it any longer.
No, you know what I think also too is maybe the 8, the 08 might have overdriven it into the corner and had to get on the brakes hard, and I think it might have caught the 77 by surprise. He really had nowhere to go. Got right into the back of him, sent him spinning, and man, four fast cars that were all battling for some position there. Got themselves some damage, and gonna make the rest of this night a pretty long one.
Daniel Eberhardt going to come down pit road from the race lead. Thing he doesn't have going for him is that 2 of Marcus Richardson has the number 1 pit stall. Is that enough to put the Skittles Toyota back on top of the board? Eberhardt, right side tires. Now the crew go over 2 left side tires as well. Going to be 4 tires, gas and go. The challenge going to be non-existent. However, Marcus Richardson is going to be able to maintain second, but Daniel Eberhardt remains in the lead. Last caution was at 1/3. Now 2/3 down at Charlotte, and it's Daniel Eberhardt in control of this field within 50 laps to go. We're going to take this moment yet again to take a quick commercial break from the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. You're watching the Extreme Motorsports 99.com Sprint Cup Series All-Star Invitational on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. back live and getting set for a late race restart. Inside 50 laps to go with the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. Pace car down and away. The 90 on the outside of the racetrack. Daniel E. Eberhardt. Green flag back in the air and across the start-finish line. He leads over that number 2 machine, trying to play catch-up as Marcus Richardson. Chance Crumville all over Ariati, the 15, the 25 mix as well. That's Bobby Zelensky. These 5 drivers still yet to be determined amongst them, if not more. Still sitting with a good number, a 17 on the lead lap, and they fight down to quarter number 3. Looks like that Tua Richardson is going to be able to get clear. Into the closing portions of this Extreme Motorsports 99.com Sprint Cup Series All-Star Invitational. We're watching live on LSRTV alongside Evan Pasoko, Andy Kessler, and our executive producer, Laura Lawson. Andy, that last 50-lap stint, the middle portion of the race, was absolutely insane. I don't expect it to cool down at all. Top 5 drivers within half a second.
Oh, look at these guys go right now as they head back into turn number 3. Richardson has gotten his track position back. Now can he do anything with Eberhardt? Eberhardt showed that he had a real fast car in the early run. Here we go, as we got a battle for second. Ariati now to the inside of Richardson. He's going to get that preferred line as they head back into turn number 1. He's got the bottom line. Can he clear him off of 2?
We've seen that Tua Richardson pass cars on the outside before, and he does it again, this time on the defensive. He'll hang on to second, and now behind him, it's Bobby Zelensky to the inside of the racetrack, and the 25 machine can't quite get into that hole. He tried to, the hole that Chance Crum made by getting through, so that 83 jumps up to third, and it's going to be down to 15 instead of second. He falls back to fourth on the racetrack. Meanwhile, that 2, he's all over the 90. It's Eberhardt and Richardson. They've been battling since lap number 1. Here they go for the race lead at a 2.
Side by side down the backstretch. He's got a nose in there. Here comes Richardson. Eberhardt's not going to be able to close the door this time by. He's going to have that high line. Oh, it looks like he's able to get underneath or in front of him. Eberhardt's going to defend that position at least for one more lap here as they come across the start-finish line. The 83 at Crum now, he's gotten into the picture. Now it's a 3-way battle for the lead.
I'm not sure how that 90 was able to throw it down to the inside by entering on the outside over Marcus Richardson. Somehow he did it that time. Nearly plants the right side of that Toyota Camry into the outside wall and almost made it a yellow machine instead of a purple, orange, and black car. Nonetheless, he keeps it out of the wall. The car got a little bit sideways, hangs on to it, and almost looked like Marcus Richardson was going to be able to get a run that time down the back straightaway and challenge it for it. Not going to be the case, though. That 2 still sits in second right now, and Chance Crum from 25th to 3rd, making it a 3-horse fight.
He's definitely making it a fight right now. We saw he had a great car on the early run with the fresh tires to see if he can make anything happen right now. He's still all over the back bumper of Richardson as they go through 3 and 4 right now. A little bit of a gap back to 4th. But right now, these top 3 guys just single file, nose to tail, head to the tri-oval here, and now back into turn number 1. Can any of them get a run and get off of turn number 2 here and catch that 90 car?
The top 3 trying to grow some separation from everybody else in the field. The top 3 within 0.2 of a second of each other. 4th on back, half a second, and growing. Where you'll find the 15 of Ariati, Bobby Zelensky's 25, Nick Northrop, Bet Pukari, and company. All names that at any given point in this race we've been talking about waiting to try to find somebody to catch her. In many cases, trying to hold on to where they sit, but everybody has their eyes on the top spot, and Neely Eberhardt again didn't have it. That 2 machine lost it after he had huge issues, dropped back to about 9th position, made his way all the way up to 2nd before the most recent caution flag flew on a racetrack, and now that he sits up here, what does he have for your race leader? How about an onboard? You take a look riding on board with the Skittles Toyota Camry and Marcus Richardson. That's the gap he needs to make up. Make it 1 car length and change, maybe just 1 down to corner 2. Lap traffic in front of them, going to force him down low.
Going to force him down low. Eberhardt actually had to make an evasive move down low. Took the 77, took his line away on the exit of the corner there. Didn't lose any position or any time to that 2 car there. But a real evasive move, and lap traffic might come into play here a little later on. We saw it happen on that last run with some other guys, but we'll see what happens here. Is now the separation about 3 car lengths now as they exit turn number 2.
And that 2 had closed in rather significantly down into 3 when they had to go to the inside of that lap traffic, but wasn't able to really do anything, at a quarter number 2 and into 3. Got to the back bumper. and then really wasn't able to do much after he kind of threw it and pitched it into the corner, trying to see if he could convince that 90 that he was on the inside line and maybe give Daniel Eberhardt, make him give that two machine the spot. Not going to happen. Top three still stay dead lock and stamp with each other. 2/10 back is Richardson. Crum right behind Tim. Throw under a blanket, maybe 50 yards separate the top three down at quarter three inside of the final 40 laps at Charlotte. Question is, if we go another 50 lap, that last green flag stint, essentially 1/3 mark to 2/3 mark, was the longest green flag stint in a race so far we have seen. That means it's possible to go all the way through lap 150, but typically at the end of the race, it may be cautions breeding cautions. That is on the mind of Marcus Richardson, which is why he doesn't want to wait around. He'll take another swing at him.
He will as they head back into turn number 3 on the back bumper of Eberhardt. He backed off a little bit there, maybe to get a run off of turn number 4. Richardson had a bumper. It's showing him as we're looking at from the back bumper of the 90 car of Eberhardt, looking back at the Skittles machine. He gets the run through the corners. It seems like I don't know if he's trying to set him up or just see where he can get him, but he's been faster the last few laps through the corner, so I don't know if... Oh, we got caution at Speedway.
Caution flag gonna fly. Caution is out, and trouble back again in corner number 2. And again, it's the 77. Trouble for Hugo Lindner. And the Speed Energy Ford Fusion. Same spot on the racetrack, however, he was not involved in the start of this. Oh boy, top 10 drivers, big issues for the 8 machine on the inside of Martin Porter. Threw it to the inside on the 24 of Bobby Chaney. Chaney giving him all the room in the world, but this is very similar to what we saw happen to Marcus Richardson, Andy. That car just broke sideways, and unfortunately for the 24, unlike in the case we saw earlier, that car didn't just go up and hit the wall. He clipped the 24. Those two drivers turned around in pretty heavy contact down in corners 1 and 2, and then it was the 24 sliding down the racetrack that collected Hugo Lindner, and back-to-back major incidents in corner 2. Going to put us under the caution flag again. Looks like maybe also minor damage did be received on behalf of Alex Peck, so throw 4 drivers into that one.
Yeah, Brian Ray also had some issues there as the leaders come down pit road. Pit road's open. They were just here, but they're setting themselves up for this finish here. But Brian Ray also, he pulled it behind the wall. He had some damage.
The caution flag back out. Just mentioned that although we have seen a 50-lap green flag stint tonight, it would not be uncommon to see some late race caution and late race theatrics in this one. May be exactly what's on tap. Race leaders down to the pit lane. Does this open up the door for some strategy? That last green flag stint, the shortest out of all of them between pit stops, but it looks like 4 tires, the name of the game for your race leader. Nobody in the back really throwing any sort of challenge at it. It's going to be Daniel Eberhardt off of the pit lane first. Not good news, though, for down with that 2 of Marcus Richardson. The Skittles Toyota still in his stall, either serving a penalty or has damage, but that is a huge costly mistake.
It looks like he might have been caught speeding there and had to sit. Yeah, he
going to be a
definitely
26.67, and he was speeding on entry. And that's one thing that I didn't mention, Andy, is we saw Eberhardt kind of hang back from the pace car a little bit and then really gas it up before he gets to pit road to try to create a gap. I think that, too, was trying to compensate for that, and Marcus Richardson got clocked at the cone at 65 miles an hour instead of 50. That's a pretty big differential, and he didn't get away with it. Now, you mentioned how maybe green flag pit stops could be what decide this race. Maybe a mistake under the caution flag may be what puts Marcus Richardson out of contention as you take a look. So that incident in that 26.67 service time for Marcus Richardson's number 2 Skittles Toyota is going to put him back from 2nd to 13th. At Kessler, we saw him go from 9th to 2nd in about 50 laps. I don't know if he'd be able to do 13th to 1st at about 30.
It's going to be tight, but you know he's going to be pushing it, and this is a chance where you're going to see, how much he is going to push the issue. Or and this late in the race, these guys, now you're coming down to crunch time. There's a lot more give and a lot early on in the race, but there's going to be a lot more take by a lot of these guys, and you're going to be seeing some guys, if they start crowding them or pushing down in the corners, you're going to be seeing some guys get a little frustrated. You might see a lot more contact through these corners here.
It's the iPhoneGaming.com Toyota Camry up at the front of the field in this one. Eberhardt has been going toe-to-toe with that 2 machine all night long. But the spoilers, I guess you can call them, in this fight have been Chance Crum and company. Chance Crum was with your leaders that last time by. He was the third car in the top three that were pulling away together. A guy like a Bobby Zelensky, Ariati, Nick Northrop, we have seen them show spurts of speed, sometimes at the beginning of a run, sometimes at the latter stages of a run. You think any of these guys have enough to be able to stick with and really put up a legitimate fight with Eberhard?
Well, we've seen that maybe on the short run. The 83 Crum, he's been pretty fast on the short run. But it seems like Eberhard's able, with the fresh tires to pull what he's done the last couple times, is pull away from these guys, get himself a little bit of a gap. It kind of shrinks towards the longer end of the run, especially on that last 50-lap run we had. But this one here, only 30 laps here when they take the green. It's going to be interesting to see if these guys, I think the only chance the 83 has, or any Zelensky or any of these guys have, is they got to get in front of them now. Right now is their chance to get in front of them, and if they can't do it now, it's going to be tough to pass Eberhard.
Eberhard in the number 90 machine looks like he'll be on the inside row for this next restart. The big thing is, again, that two of Marcus Richardson going to be 13th, significantly further back. That shuffles everybody up a spot. So Chance Crum will go to second. It's going to be Zelensky third, Addy fourth, and fifth position to Nick Northrop. Bukhari, Holland, Putz, Smith, and Baum will round out your top 10. Late race restart again at Charlotte will be for the final time tonight. 30 laps to go. Eberhard trying to get an all-star race win. Pace car down and away. Green flag flies. Back underway we go. The 90 going to get to a car length. Now 2 car length lead to 1. Chance Crum going to defend second. The battle's on for third. On back advantage Zelensky.
Zelensky made short time of that battle right now. The top 6, 7 guys now single file as they come off of turn number 2. Crum's chance to get Eberhard off the start. He's going to have to do it now if he wants to do it. 2 car lengths now separate as they head back into turn number 3. The top 5 nose to tail as they head to 4.
And single file all the way back to you'll get to Marcus Richardson. 3 wide, no, the 4 going to shut the door on the 2 machine. In the back of the pack is the Skittles Toyota, loses a spot on that get up to speed lap. He is trying to find a way through. He's getting out of patience, and he'll give the 4 a shot in corner 2.
He's got nowhere to go with the 61 of Jason Stout now to his inside. He's got nowhere to go. Bottom line's out clear now, and here he comes as he puts a move on the 4 car. He's going to see if he can get a run off Rominger off of turn number 4. He does. Put him to the inside now, get him at the start-finish line. He's going to be dead heat right there, but as they head to turn number 1, give the advantage now to Richardson.
And Richardson really needs to get going inside almost now. Final 25 laps in this race, and he has to make up 2.3 seconds. That's no easy bill when you consider that everybody up front, including himself, but your race leaders up in front of him, all on fresh tires. Doesn't have a whole lot going in his favor. He'll drive real aggressively to the inside of Chris Scala. Going to go side by side for P11. Right on board with that number 2 of Marcus Richardson. Let's watch him try to fight through the pack. He'll be able to get P11 at the start-finish line, and he sets his eyes on that next group of 3 cars. First guy he'd get to is Ken Baum Jr.
Kenny Baum Jr. is trying to make a move right now, though, on the 34 of Brian Smith. Brian Smith looks like he's maybe holding up the 6 car at the moment. Kenny Baum Jr. all over his back bumper off of turn number 4. That 2 car is getting bigger in the mirror for that 6, and here they come now into turn number 1. Kenny Baum Jr. trying to get that inside line. Not going to happen this time.
Thought about diving it to the inside, and the first kink in that dog leg. Big thing about Charlotte Motor Speedway as that 2 goes to the inside is it's not a trial for the fact that you're not making a big progressive left-handing sweeper all the way from 4 all the way through 1. There are 2 very distinct corners on that front stretch of the racetrack that sets up about 3 different sectors. When you're side by side, things can get real tight. The 6 thought about it, thought better of it, did not make that issue, didn't force it onto the 34. He'll end up dropping back to 11th as the 2 makes the pass out of it. Now Richardson closed it in very quickly on Brian Smith, and as well Richard Holland up in 8th.
That he is. Richardson definitely making a move right now. He's still over 2 seconds back of the leader. Getting blocked, it looks like, right there from the 34 of Brian Smith. Brian Smith trying to hang on to every position he possibly can. Richardson, though, looks too tough right now as he dives down to the bottom there. He's got a nose in now as they head to turn 1, side by side. He's got the preferred position. It looks like he's going to have him cleared off turn 2. Richardson up 1 more spot. That's 9th.
And he'll be able to get that spot tonight. Now tries to go for 8th. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Daniel Lee Eberhard still now 0.4 of a second at attempting to grow that distance over top of Chance Crum right now on the racetrack. in front of him and now just behind as Crum takes the 10th off. It's down to 3/10. He's 7/10 to the good over Ariati, and Bobby Zelensky company over a second on back. So it looked like Crum was fading, and that we're right off the opening 10 laps since the green flag. The 83 starting to close back in for the race lead. Meanwhile, Marcus Richardson, he's still plowing through the field. He'll get to the inside of the AutosForSale.ca number 31 Chevy of Richard Holland. Only problem is he's making up track position, but he's not making up any track ground as far as he's still 2.5 seconds off of the top spot.
Yeah, positions don't mean anything in all-star races. Now he's cleared the 31 of Holland, now off of turn number 2. Richardson, another spot gain, but that, like I said, in an all-star race, winning is the only thing that matters. Richardson's got his work cut out for him. He's running out of time in this one as off of turn number 4. He's got his sights on Kyle Putz right now. He's really gaining a lot of time on this front straightaway. A wicked run off turn number 4. He might be able to put a move on him here in one.
Thinks about it, the 33 going to hold the bottom and not slide high very early, which is what the 2's really been pouncing on. He'll go to the inside down the back straightaway, and he'll make it a side-by-side fight for 7th. In front of them, side-by-side for 5th, as Richardson going to get the spot on Putz, and he'll bring the 31 with him. Is the number 19 of Brent Macari, 6th position, trying to get up to a top 5 running spot. That means getting around it, Nick Northrop. That's side-by-side for 5th and real close to the 1, but they duke it out.
Northrop kind of pinching him down low there. Got a high line. He's get the momentum right now. He's got him cleared. 19 of Punkari. He's going to fall back into line and try to regather his machine. Here comes the 2 now back into the picture.
Trouble back behind. Caution flag is out again. Late in this race. This time it's trouble for Kyle Putz. In the Sim Racing Authority entry, just talking about that driver, was fighting in 7th position. And that 2 Richardson got around him. I mentioned that at 2. He tried to shut the door on the 31. It didn't work, and evidently he tried to do it again, and he was not clear. The 31 there, and you could argue the 31 should have lifted, but in the final 20 laps, 31 did everything he could have and drove into the left rear. He turns Kyle Putz around, and the second piece of contact is really what does the 33 in. Head on into the outside wall and absolutely destroying that race car.
Yep, that's going to end his night very early, but who lifts in the last 20 laps of a race, especially an all-star event? Unfortunate for both those guys, both having a great run, moving up through the field and having a great success here late in the race. Fighting for that position, battling hard late in the race. We saw, like I said earlier, we saw a lot of give in the beginning part of the race, but we're not going to see that this time.
And how about this? Daniel E. Eberhardt is going to stay out on the racetrack. Pretty much everybody behind him come down pit road. He had the option again. That's one thing about being a race leader is you don't want to be in that spot. Well, the 83 of Chance Crum going to be the first car down pit road. He will come down and take 4 tires in that Chevrolet, but he'll get beat off pit road by Bobby Zelensky. Ariati, the 6th, going to beat him off pit road as well. Plus, throw into the fact that Joe Petrich right now, as well as a couple of other drivers, it looks like staying out, along with Eberhardt's going to be Chris Scala. First car on 4 tires is going to be pretty far back there. 3 different strategies entirely are going to really shake up the end of this one, and Daniel E. Eberhardt really is hoping that Scala and company decide to not come down pit road, because with no tires and those guys with 4, he'll get run over, so he needs a buffer space of cars on no tires, cars on 2 tires. We'll see how big that buffer is when the scoring updates this time by.
That's going to be interesting to see here. And you know what, as the leader, what do? You come down and pit, nobody else does. So, I mean, you almost have to stay out and just see what happens. And, as far as Eberhard, I don't blame him. I'd stay out too. I think Chris Scala made a bold move right there. We saw him take 2 tires earlier in the race, and that just wasn't going to happen. Kenny Baum Jr. just made an aggressive move right there. He's going to be sitting 3rd. So definitely shaking some things up in the front here. Some guys taking 4, like you said, but one of the guys there, Richardson, he had worked so hard to get back up into that top 10, and then now he finds himself outside of it again.
So with the updated numbers, it is Daniel Lee Eberhardt, Chris Scala inside of the top two of the racetrack right now. They are trailed by the 6 of Ken Baum Jr., first driver to come down pit road and take 2 tires. Joining him in a 2-tire crusade is going to be Ariati and Bobby Zelensky. Now you find Chance Crum, the number 83 machine, going to be on the outside of row number 3 in 6th position after running in 2nd on the racetrack. That's going to be a huge difference for that team. And the 25 is Zelensky, again, a driver on 2 tires. So you have 2 guys with none. As well, you got 3 drivers with 2, and everybody else at least with 4 tires on back. Marcus Richardson doesn't take a gamble with, if anybody was going to take what I would have thought it would have been the 2, but Andy, he came down pit road, 4 tires, nothing going on there. He'll still be in 11th position. You think 2nd through 5th position is enough of a buffer to give Daniel Lee Eberhardt enough space between him and Chance Crum?
Yeah, I think at this point of the race, this looks like about 15 laps to go here when they take the green. So, yeah, it probably is. It depends on the kind of restart he can get. The thing you're going to have to watch here is third and fourth place, Kenny Baum Jr. and Ariati with the 2 tires. We saw how loose the 5 got early in the race with the 2 tires. So it's going to be interesting to see if those guys can hold off that 3rd, 4th, and 5th row of cars. And however long they hold them off, that's going to be the key to if Eberhardt can hang on to this thing.
Yet again, the lights are extinguished on top of the iRacing.com. First, Ford Mustang pace car as we get set for another late race restart with the Extreme Motorsports 99.com Sprint Cup Series All-Star Invitational on the line. You're watching live on LSRTV. 15 laps to go. This one should be a barn burner. The pace car going to get down to the way. We got tire strategy and much more in effect. Pace car gone, green flag here. A great restart on the inside. Chris Scala, nothing going up top.
Scala had some issues right there, spun the tires. It's going to stack the field up 3 wide now for that 4th spot in turn number 1. Who's going to give? Nobody, it looks like. They all hold their line very well right now as here comes the 25 of Zelensky. He's looking for that 3rd spot down the back straightaway.
Great news for your race leader, Eberhardt, as that Chance Crum is on the outside in that 3-wide fight. If he was on the bottom, he might already be up to 3rd, if not 2nd, but because he's on the outside, he needs to find a way through. He won't be able to, though. The 54 going to go to the inside on the 83. 2 3-wide, 5 cars, about 3 lanes wide down to corner number 1. All of this for 3rd on back. Scala had it at the start, finished on Zelensky, though, with the advantage out of 2.
This is exactly what Eberhardt wants to see in his mirror. The more these guys battle side by side and these laps take off, the better it is for him. Zelensky now, he's going to move to that 3rd spot. Scala going to fall back in line. Now the side-by-side battle is for that 4th spot. That's Ariati and Chance Crum. Northrop.
And that's Northrop in that 54, who really resurged kind of about halfway through this race after starting in 23rd, got up to the top 10, really doing something with it. Now we're single filed out. Here comes the 83, Chance Crum. He's got to get going to the inside of the racetrack. Though he's moving, this is just a fight for P6. He actually lost spots in all of this, and he's struggling to get back to the accelerator down low.
He is right there. Looks like he touched the apron just a bit. Maybe got him a little bit loose. They gave Northrop the advantage. He's still side by side. He's got Ariati on the outside. Now Northrop's on the outside of him. He got the nose inside. They're side by side off of 2. He's going to try to clear him. It's not going to happen this time. Maybe he can get him off of turn 4. Side by side, but they got a slower car right in front of him. Chris Scala on no tires. He's actually kind of holding up the field.
And it looked like that 83 might try to use the 5 as a pick on a 54. Not going to work. How about 3 wide? 15 to the inside. Thought about it. Doesn't happen. And now Northrop going to get clear on the 83. Looks to the outside on the 5. Now drops back down. Scala shuts the door yet again. Now slides up to the outside. 3 wide in contact. Marcus Richardson. He's in the outside wall after giving it one more shot. The nail in the coffin for the Skittles Toyota. Heavy damage. He slows in 3.
He slows way down. He had nowhere to go right there. Almost tried to make it 3 wide to get around Chris Scala in the 5 car. Not going to happen. Scala now falling way back here. The 54 Northrop, he's moved up into that 4 spot. But we got to watch that Bobby Zelensky. He's now gotten by Kenny Baum Jr. in that 2nd spot. Does he have enough time to make up 0.6 of a second?
15 nearly in the fence. The 5 nearly in the fence. Everybody trying to dig and get something, though. Chance Crum 1.4 seconds off inside of the final 10 laps. Don't think it's going to be enough. Again, still a possibility of a caution flag all the way through 4 to go. At 4 to go, if a caution comes out, this race will end with a checker and a yellow flying simultaneously with no green-white checkers currently on the iRacing.com service. 4 to go or under caution would end this. So if you're back here, you don't really want to play around and try to gauge catching the race leader at the white flag. It's time to get hustling. However, for your race leader, Daniel Eberhardt, it's 0.5 of a second to the good over Bobby Zelensky. It was Ken Baum Jr. in the number 6 Toyota who was in second. That driver has significantly began to slow. The 54 going to go to the inside on him. He'll bring Chance Crum also, and it looks like Baum going to drop to at least about P5. Lap traffic, 3 wide. Hello. That was a close call out of 2. But meanwhile, now it's Bobby Zelensky trying to come in late. The Red Bull Chevy on the attack. He's 0.3 off the lead.
He's been up front all night long in that top 10, buzzing around, making some passes, kept the car clean. Now he's got fresher tires than Daniel Eberhardt, and now he's closing the gap. 0.2 of a second that time by, and you can just see the gap closing now as they exit turn number 2. Eberhardt's going to have his mirror full, and he's actually probably going to have a door full of Zelensky here in a matter of time.
And he's closing in. It's one different thing to catch somebody than it is to pass them. What can they do as that 90 tries to defend? It doesn't look like Chance Crum's going to be able to get to him. Still a second off. In front of Chance Crum in third is Nick Northrop, who's 0.8 off at a Nationwide Chevy. Does not look like he's going to be giving anything away anytime soon. Zelensky will be there. How aggressive do these guys go at it? And if they get together, this could go into the hands of Nick Northrop, so Chance Crum can't give up for third either.
No, you can't give up. You can't give up till that cross that line. The checkered flag is waving in the air. Eberhardt now, the gap is slowly just closing 0.1 of a second now. You can see him really close in now. The draft will come into play just a little bit here as they exit turn number 2 now. Zelensky with a big run. He's closing that gap. He's going to be there as they enter turn number 3.
1 car length separate the top 2. It was 5 laps to go the last time by. This time just about under 6 miles from home. The 25 of Bobby Zelensky. Does he use the bumper? How hard does he get to him? Keep it in mind, these guys going 196 plus miles an hour down into 1 and down into 3. Not light speeds to be playing bumper cars with. How aggressive do they get? Zelensky wants it, and it's Eberhardt who's got it. If they really start to scrap, though, Northrop and Crum might get real close. They're only got 0.6 of the good, and the 90 overdrives full. Race leader Daniel Eberhardt. He throws it away as he drives into the corner for a wall, and heavy contact puts Zelensky to the top.
Puts him to the top, puts Eberhardt now battling for his life for that 4th position. Washes up the track a little bit, almost makes contact with the 83. Keeps the thing straight. Now we got a whole different mix of cars now in the front. As the 54 now in Northrop, he's going to set his eyes on the lead.
Cars on the apron, cars off speed, cars in the wall, green flag stays out. Bobby Zelensky put enough pressure on at-time race leader Daniel Eberhardt to force a mistake out of the 90. Something that's very difficult to do, Andy, for such an experienced driver. The 90 just straight overshot it.
Straight overshot. I don't know if it was pressure from behind. Maybe he was watching his mirror too much. He saw that 25 coming. Now the lap car's going to play a little bit into this finish here. Now as Zelensky still kind of pulling away. He's got about 6 car length lead now over second. But these guys, they're really pulling the draft right here, and they're actually closing in pretty quick, heading back into turn 1.
White flag in the air, 0.3 of a second. Zelensky cannot afford a mistake that would throw this one away. Second, third, and fourth, all very close to the racetrack as they fight in their own right. Chance Crum to the inside. He wants to get second, but all of that, it's behind the race lead. It's not going to be enough. Side by side for second. That's just scraps. Bobby Zelensky, corner 4, checkered flag in the Extreme Motorsports 99 Sprint Cup All-Star win to Bobby Zelensky as they wreck across the start-finish line behind them. The 15 of Ariati somehow going to sneak up on the outside to get second after Chance Crum gets into and turns. Nick Northrop in the final corner, turning that Nationwide Chevrolet down through the grass, who has to settle for second and breathe. What a finish from Charlotte. Bobby Zelensky walks away a winner when it is all said and done. Easily one of the craziest all-round but of course finishes that I've ever seen at Charlotte. Zelensky didn't put Eberhardt in the wall, but he did. The mind games, the pressure. 90 gun machine wasn't able to handle it. Comes home in 6th, and Zelensky holds on to a late race push from the guys behind him. 26th to 1st. Not a bad night out.
No, not a bad night at all. Even look at Chance Crum there, finishing third with starting 25th. So some guy, we talked about it early, that strategy of hanging back at the beginning and just staying out of trouble. That's exactly what we did. A couple pit call strategies early in the race to get them some track position, and then just some hard racing, and it paid off in the end.
And it is going to be Bobby Zelensky. By the way, no surprise in this statistic. The driver out of the Sim Racing Authority once again wins one of these Extreme Motorsports 99.com All-Star Invitationals, this time in the Sprint Cup Series side of things, and celebrate on the front straightaway with David Shutt and company. Bobby Zelensky, your winner tonight from Charlotte. You enjoyed how it went down, and we hope to try to get some words from these drivers and find out what that was like from behind the wheel. The post-race show from Charlotte with LSRTV going to be coming up in just a couple of moments, so stay tuned. We'll be right back with the Extreme Motorsports 99.com Sprint Cup Series All-Star Invitational. You're watching LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Did you know that Lion's sense of vision is so powerful, it actually enables nearby creatures to see better? Here we see lions assisting the offspring of others, while their parents are elsewhere in the wild. Brilliant, isn't it? Making the wild kingdom look much better indeed. Do good, be a lion.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Back live, and you're taking a look at the race-deciding move, or lack of, maybe an incident, we'll call it. Daniel E. Eberhardt leading this race late. The 90 machine, heavy pressure from behind by Bobby Zelensky, overshoots corner 4 inside the final 5 laps, hard into the outside wall, and did a good job of keeping that machine pointed straight and narrow so that he did not come down and collect anybody else and make it a race-ending incident. The racetrack stayed green. We wrecked across the start-finish line, but none of that mattered. Bobby Zelensky, the big winner tonight at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. He wins the Extreme Motorsports 99.com Sprint Cup Series All-Star Invitational. As always, we're glad to have you with us on LSRTV, welcoming you into the LSRTV post-race show from Charlotte after what was a thriller tonight in Concord, North Carolina. Chance Crum tried to get back to the top spot late. He was the first driver on 4 tires after pitting from second on the final caution. Wasn't enough to be able to get back to the top spot, and he'll have to settle for P3 tonight, representing the Sim Racing Authority. And Andy, you've caught up on the pit lane with the driver of the 83.
Yeah, that's right. I'm down here on pit road here with Chance Crum as he crawls out of this Clean Crawls Chevrolet. And Chance, man, what a run. What a great race for you guys, you and your teammate, or I call you teammates, but you came from the same league. But start in the back, chose not to qualify, had a decent practice, found yourself in the top 10. Was the choice to not qualify an easy one, or was it just one you just wanted to stay out of trouble early?
Well, a couple of reasons. I wanted to stay out of trouble, and then also I just didn't really feel confident I was going to be able to run those guys up front. Practice, I was all right. Still needed about a tenth. So I just kind of wanted to run, my own pace at the back and slowly work my way up to the front.
I'll tell you what, you didn't think you could run with those guys, but you sure did a great job of it all race long. Couple of couple strategies there, pit road, staying out, 2 tires, no tires. A lot of guys tried different things. You were able to make a couple calls, get yourself up into position, at least in the top 10. You ran with those guys a lot towards the second half of the race up front. Battling the 90 car, a couple of those restarts there. It looked like you might have had something for him on fresh tires, and it looked like a lot of fun. How was it out there?
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun. The car was really tight, and so I was really trying to manage my tires. But on the short run, I was fast and kept with them, and then he stretched it out for a while. But I started catching him a little bit at the end, but then there was a caution, so it didn't really matter. I was trying to, stay on the leader strategy, so I didn't get, caught on some weird strategy and go, to the back. But there at the end, took 4 tires. I thought that was the good call. Just couldn't get around the lap traffic like Zelensky did. He did a great job.
Yeah, he did do a great job getting around traffic. They'll talk to him in a minute. But, man, I'll tell you, it's all for nothing in an all-star event like this, going for the win. You put a great effort in there, and starting way back in the field like that to come home third, it's got to feel pretty great. And who would you like to thank for this great run?
Well, first I want to apologize to Northrop. He came off the corner lower than I thought he was going to there at the end and got into him, and see where'd he fall down to like 7th or something like that. So I want to apologize to him for that. I got to give a big thanks to Clean Crawls, Woodinville Import Auto Repair, Airvan Moving, Joe's Racing Products. Thank you guys for broadcasting this race, and thanks to all the people for putting this race on. It was a lot of fun.
Well, there you go. There's your third place finish here tonight. And Evan, I think you've made it to victory lane, where there's got to be a big celebration going on there right now.
I'll tell you what, at the end of that one, you think the race car would be coming home with battle scars, and it does. After starting this race in 26th position, somehow finds himself in Gatorade Victory Lane. Your winner tonight in the Extreme Motorsports 99.com Sprint Cup Series All-Star Invitational, the driver of the number 25 Red Bull Chevrolet, Bobby Zelensky. Bobby, first off, congratulations, but what a race. First off, you guys coming from the back to the front, but that final 50 laps with pit strategy and whatnot, what made the call for that 25 machine, and how'd you find yourself in second? Next thing you know, the 90's in the fence.
Yeah, it was a wild race, and yeah, I started in the back because I messed up my qualifying lap, and so I had to bite the bullet there. But yeah, I was just trying to stay, keep my car clean, stay up there in top 5, top 7, and just see what would go on, and I found my way. I got a really good pit stops the last 50 laps. And I got up to, I think it was 5th there in the last restart, and the outside line was pretty slow, and I got to get by them, and just worked my way to the front, and I just can't believe I won. That's crazy. I'm so happy right now.
The big story into tonight was how strong the Sim Racing Authority has been, and the name that we highlighted was Marcus Richardson. That 2 machine looked like this was his race. You were up there fighting with him. He comes home 9th tonight, not only after mid-race troubles, a penalty and such, but as well late race troubles there at the end that pretty much did him in. But the Sim Racing Authority still with you in that 25. Just talked to Chance Crum as well. You guys come into this All-Star Invitational like you have in the last 2 that we've seen so far, with the 2015 Xfinity Invitational, as well as for the Camping World Truck Series, and the 2014 one as well, one that Marcus took home to victory lane. How are you guys able to come into these races so strong? And tonight maybe not as much of a quote-unquote dominating performance. You guys weren't able to run away with it. They gave you a run for your money, but at the end you guys had the fastest race cars.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough about my Sim Racing Authority, fellow, drivers, teammates, whatever you want to call it. They're all really awesome. It's fun to race with them every week, and yeah, I'm just grateful that, Bobby Cheney, Austin, the admins over there, picked me for this race. I told them you wouldn't regret it. I told them, please pick me, and hopefully they now they know to pick me again. But yeah, well, SRA is really good.
Well, they definitely made a good decision in that one, Bobby. You talked about being the 4th fastest in practice, but did not elect to start at the back by choice. Had that trouble in qualifying. Getting through the field, a lot of guys were talking about how tight their race car was, but we saw a lot of guys snapping loose. Did you have any, major close calls with that 25, or do you think you really found the sweet spot to be able to keep all 4 under you and, obviously helped you guys get up through the field very quickly?
Yeah, I wasn't really loose at all. The only time I really got loose is if I made like a quick, on the straightaway, quick left to try to get by somebody. But yeah, I guess you could say I found the sweet spot. It was pretty tight on exit, at the end of the run, and I felt like I was doing a really bad job of conserving my front tires. But luckily we had short runs at the end, so and I was just in the right place at the right time, and it was awesome.
You win this one, and the conversation not, what you guys expect into the next race, because again, these invitationals, something that we were excited to be a part of for 2015. Trucks down, Xfinity down, and now after tonight, the Sprint Cup Series All-Star Invitational is in the bags. But we've said Sim Racing Authority so many times. Everybody tuning in, a lot of guys supporting you guys in the SRA. Favorites into this one. A lot of people picked you guys to win. You did so. For those that may not be as familiar with that, you want to give us some intel?
Yeah, I just really enjoy running with these guys. We always run, together, and we feel like we're pretty fast. And we came with the mindset in this race that we wanted to win, and that we knew we could, and we did. And I think we got a 1-2-3, which is really cool. And I don't know what happened to a couple others there at the end. I was looking at the finish line, but I can't say enough about the SRA guys. They're really fun to hang around with. They're fun to race with, and yeah, I just can't say enough about them.
Well, you put this one in victory lane, Bobby. Sponsors and shout-outs. We're taking a look at that number 25 Chevrolet. Who powered you to this win?
Well, I have the Red Bull scheme because I think it looks good, but I don't have any sponsors or anything. But I want to thank Bobby and Austin for picking me, and I want to give a shout out to all my friends watching the stream right now, and shout out to FTRL group, and yeah.
Well, thanks for sticking around and taking some time to talk with us, Bobby. Again, a big congratulations on your win tonight. Best of luck rolling forward with everything, and again, congratulations. A hell of a performance there late.
Thank you.
Again, that is your race winner tonight. It's Bobby Zelensky in the number 25 Red Bull Chevrolet, who walks away victorious in all of this one. On top of Ariati, also talked to Chance Crum inside the top three. Take a look at the LSRTV full race results as we put a cap on this Extreme Motorsports 99.com Sprint Cup Series All-Star Invitational. Brent Pucari and Ken Baum Jr. joined the drivers we talked to on the podium. They rounded out the top five.
Coming home sixth tonight, probably a little bit disappointing, was the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt. Seventh finished up was Nick Northrup. Number 8th finisher was Chris Scollin. Marcus Richardson ended up coming home 9th, and top 10 was Richard Holland.
Just behind him, final four cars on the lead lap. 11th position was Brian Smith. Jay Anderson in 12th. 13th was Mike Rominger, and Joy Petrich rounds out your top 14. Sole driver, one lap to the negative. It's a 15th position when it's all said and done for the 59 of Alex Peck.
Jason Stout in the 61, he finished 16th. 17th went to Michael Rasmussen. Jordan Malish finished 18th. Kyle Putz will round out 19th, and Sean Dower will finish 20th.
It was a 21st to Phil Gary. These drivers here on out pretty much behind the wall and done. It was a 22nd to Tyler Ducharme. Bobby Cheney in 23rd. 24th to Martin Porter, and Brian Ray in 25th.
26th finisher, that was Hugo Lidner. David Schutt finished 27th. 28th went to Richard Schwint. Gary Bauer finished 29th, and Michael Tibbetts finished 30th.
And then rounding out your field tonight, Brian Bateman in 31st. The 32nd to William Hale, and Darren Sizemore. Trouble very early on in this race. Has to settle for 33rd and last on the grid from Charlotte. Probably in the longest time, one of the most exciting start-to-finish races I've seen in a while. And again, we started the show by saying that Charlotte is the 1.5 you get when you get this service. Everybody has driven at Charlotte. Everybody knows Charlotte. And you could see, Andy, how comfortable these guys were, where they really had to get wild to get to kind of an uncomfortable position. That was great news for us. We saw three wide battling up inside the top five, back in about 15th, 20th position at times in the middle portion of the race, and to cap it all off with that late race drama, the 90 in the Fenton. Zelensky holding on as we had cars spinning across the start-finish line. I don't think you could have written up an entire race much as good as we saw here tonight. A thrilling Sprint Cup Series All-Star Invitational.
Well, absolutely. And, when you take the top, 30 plus guys, top guys from 4 different leagues, you put them all in here. It's a shame that somebody's got to finish last, and like a guy like Sizemore, fast racer at Extreme, and always just finishes up in the top 5. But you put this many good guys on the track at the same time, and you're going to get what we got tonight. So great battles all throughout the race, all throughout every position everybody was battling. You saw a lot of give and take early on the race, which is exactly what you want to do to keep that car clean. Let the guy go. Let him go. Let him burn his stuff off. You'll get him later on, and that's exactly what we saw tonight. Some great racing, some hard battles, and an awesome, awesome finish.
And much like we saw with the Camping World Truck Series All-Star Invitational and the Xfinity Series All-Star Invitational in about the last month here on LSRTV, coming to the conclusion tonight with the top series, the top guys from 4 leagues into the top series, the top cars at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It did not disappoint by any stretch of the imagination, and we were excited to be a part of it. If you want to check out more live sim racing action by Live Sim Racing TV here with us at LSRTV, make sure to check us out online at livesimracing.com. As well, keep up to date with us on social media at facebook.com/livesimracingtv. Do want to give a big thank you to everybody at extrememotorsports99.com and the administration team, of course. Rick Donathan for being the league administrator with Extreme, getting everything coordinated. Do want to thank all 4 leagues we saw tonight. Make sure you do give them support. That's the North American Racing Network, United Sim Racing, Extreme Motorsports 99, and of course the Sim Racing Authority. If you want to find out how to be in one of these events in the future, send Rick Donathan an email. That's rick@extrememotorsports99.com. Until next time, though, do want to thank everybody for tuning in yet again. A whole lot still to come in 2015 on LSRTV. Tomorrow night, the iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series in action, and later on this year, the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. Again, for all of that information on more, you can go to livesimracing.com. Until next time, though, on behalf of our broadcast team tonight, alongside myself, Evan Pasoko, for Andy Kessler and our executive producer, Laura Lawson, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Congratulations once again to the 25 of Bobby Zelensky and the Sim Racing Authorities, winner tonight at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Good night from Charlotte, and we'll see you next time with LSRTV.